my question to you is, will talks work unless militarily there is some kind of a ceasefire? And the ceasefire cannot just be in Belarus. How can talks happen or be successful if the attacks continue? Piotr, please.
Well, I've got a question. I want to address a couple of points here that was said before, then I'll address those. Well, first of all, I must let you know I worked for about a year in Pakistan, spent about a year there. Not even once I heard from any Pakistani, and we know what the relationship between India and Pakistan is, that there is no such nation as India. That's one point. Second, I think you're doing a very good job as a media, but what you're showing is very one-sided. You're showing burnt tanks, captured soldiers, etc., but they're both sides. So it's a tragedy for both. That's important to understand. And now to your point. Now, peace talks. What I have to agree, Arnab, is to what you said in the very, very beginning. The talks should be between Russia and the United States. This is not the war between Russia and Ukraine. You can call it the war between Russia and United States. And it was started in 2008 by the United States and its NATO allies when they actually, in Bucharest, they announced that they are willing to take Ukraine and Georgia into NATO. That's when it all started. And now there's the price Ukrainian people and Russian people have to pay for this, unfortunately. Now, talking about the current talks, I can tell you, if they reach something good, ceasefire or what have you, despite of what our colleague from Ukraine is saying, they're not going to talk, well, their president is willing to talk. So let there be talks and let there be a ceasefire and let there be an agreement. But I agree with you once again. I want to reiterate, it's not between Russia and Ukraine. It's between Russia and the United States. And it's a question of security for Russia, which is the question of its existence. Thank you.
Piotr, while you were speaking, we got news which came in that negotiations between Russia and Ukraine are underway. And I just want to say that when I began my introduction, I also said, Piotr, that the talks between Ukraine and Russia are a temporary bandage, a band-aid. They are not a final solution, because I do believe that eventually it is American interest which will come into play. And I am a great believer that at the end of the day, Joe Biden should come out and have a direct negotiation with NATO, with Boris Johnson and everyone, and Putin, and settle this for a longer term rather than look for a short-term solution. But since I'm getting these confusing inputs coming in, I'd like to go to Volodymyr Ariev, who's a Ukrainian member of parliament, and I thank Maria Golub, who's a former advisor of the EU representative in Ukraine. She's also joining us from Kiev. But first, you, Mr. Ariev, what are these talks about? These are talks without a ceasefire. How much can we expect to come out of the talks when Kiev is still being attacked and still being surrounded? I'd like to hear from you, Mr. Ariev, and then maybe Alexander from Moscow would like to respond. Yes, please.
I am very skeptical about these talks because I think that it will be used by the Ukrainian side to take a respite.